Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dinga and welcome to this somewhat tutorial mostly. Oh, recording has started. Of course that's popped up in the corner. Now, thank you very much, Shadow Play. Anyways, I'll continue. Welcome to a sort of a brief tutorial. I'll tell you what, I'll just start again. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dinga and welcome back, well not welcome back, welcome to a somewhat of a castle story tutorial for invasion mode. You may be wondering, I'm currently sat on Invictus. The main reason for this is because I feel like this is a perfect demonstration of what I feel like everyone needs to first acknowledge about the map they're playing on. So for example, you play the likes of Exile and you play the likes of Zuma, and you'll notice that there's choke points. There's 2 choke points on the map. Now, obviously on both both Zuma and Exile, you can wall them off, put a door, and then defend that one choke point until you're blue in the face, and everything's fine. However, on Invictus, something you've got to realise is yes, there are 3 choke points. There's this one, that one over there, and this one over here. Unfortunately, you can't play the game, you can't play this version like that, because of the fact that the way Invictus works is it may be 3 choke points, but it's 3 choke points leading to the same place, which means you can't like block off 2 of them and expect the Corruptrons to go all the way around to one of them because they're all so far apart. So it's actually quicker. Corruptrons will usually take the quickest route to get to where they want. Why is there a random piece of brimstone there? Whatever. But yeah, so as a result of this, if a Corruptron's coming from here, and you've walled off this area, and you've walled off that area, and you've left only open this area, it's quicker for a Corruptron to break through this wall as opposed to going all the way around. So the first thing you want to do before playing anything is recognize the type of map you're playing on. If you're playing on a map which has more than 2 choke points, you're playing on an open map, and that's something to remember. If you're playing with only 1 or 2 choke points, then it's key to remember that you can then wall off one of the choke points and focus on choking out the other. If you've got 0 choke points, you're also on an open map, if you were wondering. Because, like, for example, look at the likes of Arecibo. Arecibo literally has no choke points, it's open everywhere, and you literally have to make a castle in the middle. So, that's the first thing you should always do whenever you want to start invasion on a map. The second thing is creating a defense plan. So, I will unpause this. We are playing on invasion just because, you know, the only way you can really learn is to actually play. So, I'm just going to set this as such. I'll just create that. Create this construction. 1, 2, 3. Right, now next thing you want to do is I'm gonna say about that'll do stockpile wise. God damn it, really? I thought I was close. Right. Anyways, yeah, so you want to be building stuff like that just to block off, just so you have some stockpiles. Once you have set up that, so you're starting to gather wood, next thing to do is start, lock off this task. Make another building task and lock it off. Because what you're going to do is you're going to create a building plan. Now, if you're wondering why would I need a building plan? Well, the main reason for having a building plan is because of the fact that if you have a building plan, you can then work from there. So, for example, I can click expand, move, because I want to have it sort of centered like that. That'll do. Right, apply, and now I go into here, and now I can start, you know, going to town on designs. Actually, put those back. We'll just go out like that. And you just sort of, this is where you sculpt the castle you want to make. Now, it's key to remember what areas you want to defend and what areas you don't need to. So, for example, the likes of the crafting area on the back. I mean, obviously you don't have to design your castle like this. I feel like I should mention that quickly right now. You don't have to design your castle like this. It's very much up to personal preference how you design your castle. It's just I'm going with the design I went with for my series, or something similar there, something sort of a spin-off thereof. So this is the kind of stuff you want. That's what I'm going with. So apply the changes. Obviously this is locked so you can't see it. I'm going to use this task to place down a few things. So for example, I'm going to place down my 2 furnaces. I'm also going to place down my workbench, which is going to be over here, my loom, and after doing this you want to apply just so they actually start building stuff so you can save a bit of time. You want to basically place this isn't like, key thing to remember is this isn't like conquest, so you can just place down everything you want built as soon as possible and everything will be fine. So I'm just gonna place like that. It doesn't matter if it's like messy, it's all fine. Now after doing this, I'm going to quickly place down a boulder task and just apply that. There we go. Now I'm also gonna set this boulder task to a medium priority. And then you're gonna place down 1 task both for brimstone and for iron. Now if you're wondering why I'm not placing down a plant task, it's because I can convert this boulder task into a plant task after the boulders have been dealt with. So now, as you can see, we've got our structure placement. We can make 2 halberdier kits. We can get some. We can stop. We can't start producing rope obviously right now because of the fact that we don't have any grass. However, that's gonna change once I've finished collecting boulders. So there you go. Our first halberd has been sorted. I'm just going to set this to produce planks as well, just so it's done ever so slightly quicker. Right, something to remember as well is if you really want to, you can go into blueprints, select a furnace, split it off and set this to a high priority. This means this will be done before any other building tasks are done, if the resources are there, which they are. So in other words, they should be getting on this pretty soon. There we go. So as you can see, we're currently working to get our furnace done. Once the furnace is done, we will be able to finally start making iron. When we start making iron bars, we'll be able to continue with our halberd kits. And after doing so, then we got units. All is good in the world again. Nothing to do, my arse. See, sometimes that will happen. Sometimes they'll just walk around like they've got nothing to do, despite the fact there's plenty to do. That's just something you're gonna have to accept. There we go. Right, go and do your thing. And done. Right, now let's quickly, not glass, let's set this to make iron. There we go, sorted. Right. Now that that's sorted and all done and dealt with, I'm gonna set this to plants because now we've got our first furnace. So after you've done this, it's just a matter of kind of waiting it out. I mean, you could potentially get a night kit if you really rush it. However, if you don't, it's not a bad thing. You don't need to rush it if you don't want to. It's very much dependent on the type of player you are. Because for example, if you're like me, you don't want to rush things too much because then things get out of control and your defenses sort of fall apart. Something as well is you want to make your castle like small enough to the point where you can place a repair task in the middle, because repair tasks have stopped being square shaped and started being round shaped. So you can do this, and as you can see, my entire castle is surrounded by repair tasks. So now anytime something's damaged, I can set that to high priority, set that to high priority, and they'll just get on it straight away. Now obviously it's not a big deal if it's bigger than this circle, because you can just place 2 repair tasks, set them both to high priority, and then they'll get on it. But oh well. But there we go, so we've got our kind of structure. Obviously from here you can just... you can then just build up and up and up. Obviously I'm not gonna build up too much, I'm just gonna demonstrate that then after that point you can start building up and up and up. And once you've finished all your buildings, like once you've finished all your structures, then is a good time to start creating your castle. But I know that sounds bizarre. I mean, usually if you're going to build a house, you build the house first and then you move the furniture in, whereas in Castle Story it's the exact opposite, because if you do this and you build the structures first, you get access to the structures without putting them any extra stress on your workers, where they might be stuck making decisions whether to build the structure and slow down kits, or build the kits and as a result not get any actual defenses up. So we'll create Clyde. Clyde, there you go. Right, so there we go. We'll pretty much just wait for this to happen. It's not important for us to wait because of the fact that this is purely just for demonstration purposes, as I've said. So this is how you create the kits really early on. And that's basically how you should set up for your first wave. Then on, it's pretty much just a leisurely pace until you finally get taken down, to be honest. Right, anyways, I decided the best thing to do was how to use each unit type next. So I'm just going to go over here. They can defend themselves over there. So I'll just switch into debug mode, just so I can spawn one of each. Right, so here's how you should be doing things. Now, I'll separate them into their own groups. So for example, ranged units. Oh, come on. There we go, ranged units and melee units. Now, here's generally how you should be using them. Obviously in Conquest there's use for everything if you play it right. In Conquest there isn't. Not in Conquest. In Invasion there isn't really. So for example, you may have an halberdier kit, but halberdiers don't really have much use once you've started getting knights. I mean, obviously you can still use them if you need, if you've got Brictrons who aren't going to be attacking, who... then there's still kits left. Set them on a halberdier. If they die, they die. You lose a halberdier kit. Oh well. Halberdiers are very much just for the first couple of waves, which I feel is a shame. I feel like they could have made halberdiers a bit faster, like faster than knights, since they're using less armor, and maybe that would make them beneficial for like scouting out areas. So like the second they take damage, they can run away at a faster pace, or something along those lines. But unfortunately, as of right now, they're only really good to start off defenses. Knight kits. Knights are very useful. Generally speaking, you want to have them at the front of archers, so they take the random rock throwing that's going towards them, and the archers can still open fire and deal damage. Obviously, you can switch them into defensive mode using H. H also holds their position, so they won't move, and they will just take fire. However, it does take up their stamina as opposed to their actual health. Right. Archers and arbalists are somewhat one and the same to some degree. Archers I would recommend, like for example, let's switch into instant build mode just so I can demonstrate. Right, so let's demonstrate. Let's build a wall. And let's build something behind the wall so like we can stand on it, I guess. Right, so let's say the front wall is your actual wall and behind it is the defenses. Like, so for example, let's say here is the wall and here is where your archers will stand. I would recommend, like as I said in the conquest thing, I would recommend using arbalists as defensive points and archers as offensive ones. So for example, I'll just quickly... Oh, they haven't even finished any kits. Well done, everyone. Right, well... Everyone just run off and get them. I'm just gonna send them over there just to kick ass. Right, I'll just quickly do this and then... You know what, I'll just spawn 2 knights because I might as well, why not? Right, there we go. Just so they're safe. Right, so like I was saying, arbalists are primarily used as static defensive points, whereas archers I'd use as more mobile attacking defensive points. So for example, you have a line of archers. Archers should be placed anywhere you want. So like you could send them out the front with a warrior in front of them to take enemy fire. Arbalists you should always set up in towers because they have slower fire but they do more damage. So whilst like archers will definitely cut it on the front lines, archers will be fine. The second you realize you need to retreat, you can send them back and the arbalists can start picking off any enemies who are low on health, meaning you've got the less to deal with, and it ends up being very beneficial being that way. Alchemists, you wouldn't think they would get much use. However, when it comes to the likes of, for example, a warlock who spawns multiple enemies at once, so for example, I'll just spawn a warlock over here. So if any of you haven't seen what a warlock does, I'll just spawn one over here and then spawn like a couple of alchemists. So as you can see, you can't really see because bombs and stuff. Obviously we didn't have enough bombs there, but as you can see, what's ended up happening is the warlock has spawned enemies and the alchemist, due to their splash damage, has dealt enough damage to the enemies to kill all 3 of them. Obviously you wouldn't have like 5 alchemists, you'd only have like really the 1. Let me see if I can set it up somewhere. I'll just set up a knight to attack. And I'll set up an actual demonstration of how I personally would use alchemists. So let's set 1, 2, 3. Really shouldn't have done that, just realised. Should have waited and spawned the warriors first. So, I would set... I wouldn't even have 3, I would have 2 alchemists. 1, 2, 3, 4 knights. All of which have defense mode on. I would have 1, 2, 3, 4 archers. And 2 artificers. And the reason why I'd have 2 artificers, I'll get into what is awesome about them shortly. Right now I'm just wanting to demonstrate a point. Chase me. Okay, it's just gonna die before it reaches. And of course now my alchemists have used all their bombs, so I'm just gonna send them back, because why not? Right, I'll spawn a few actual warlocks nearby. So the idea here is, so we got the alchemists, 1, 2, 3, There, 3 warlocks. So obviously the second they climb out, they're all going to summon enemies. Now obviously because of how close I've spawned them, they've dealt damage to themselves, which is dumb. Now, as you can see, because of the way I've structured this, they've actually already dealt damage to the Corruptrons, so there's less to deal with. Obviously, as you can see, people are taking damage, so I'll set the healing field on. So Beta and Indian are keeping people alive. Now, this is the thing. I would recommend playing... Why wasn't... Okay, he wasn't facing the right way. I'll just spawn a replacement. Turn towards. There we go. Now, this is personally something I'd recommend. As you can see, they have sort of... Like, they are blocking, and I would recommend if the second they start not taking, like the second they start taking damage from their health, there's no point having them in defensive mode anymore, because at that point defensive mode's being completely useless. As you can see, there we go, we've defeated 3 warlocks, and it's not been much of a hassle. So like I said, you sort of have a line of two alchemists just to deal a bit of damage, and you just keep on going like that, as I've shown. Right, stretch. There we go, nice and stretchy. Right. Okay, like I was saying. So as I said, alchemists primarily used against warlocks as splash damage to deal with their enemies that they've summoned. Artificers, very much the way you should be dealing with them is they should always be support units for knights. Obviously they can be used as units to assist with archers, which is primarily how you'll use them when your warriors aren't taking damage. So for example, here, I'll set a situation. Obviously I'm not going to spawn anything in again, because you get the point. I don't really feel like I need to. So let's say your warrior is in defensive mode. He's taking fire. He's taking the fire of a warlock or whatever. Your artificer can then open fire and do his own damage. You know, it'll all be fine. The second he gets like all his stamina's went down and his blue health's gone. Hang on. Bless me. The second his health is being damaged, click on H on the artificer to switch into healing mode, so that way your warrior's basically regaining health. Basically you've doubled his health using this healing thing. So that's primarily how you use it. Use it as a ranged until your warriors need your help, at which point you switch it into a healing character. So that's primarily how you should be using each of the units. A few more hints I would recommend is, I'll just demonstrate here. Let's just... I set an iron task. I'll just turn off the the low priority on this, and I'll spawn a few knights just to defend the place. Oh, the warlock's on the way now. Oh, there's still fighting going on. Let's just spawn a few knights to deal with that. Right, so there you go, I'll just leave that at that. Like I was saying, allow me to set up a demonstration of something that may happen. So, I'll just set up it with 3 warlocks so we know we're getting enough damage done to us. And I'll just use halberdiers because they're expendable, put it that way. So as you can see, let's have a look at Igor or something like that. So as you can see, Igor's taking a lot of damage. Best thing to do, send him to run away. Obviously I just realised against warlocks it's not going to be a smart choice. I will spawn a bunch of alchemists to deal with this problem. Just everything is chaos. I'm lagging the game out to crap. Jump off. Just bye. There we go. Right, so like I was saying, it's always beneficial to stick to where the fight is happening for this reason. I will spawn a more reasonable wave as opposed to just 700 million warlocks. Let's spawn about 3 knights and a large amount of minitrons. Right, so as you can see, Kalu is taking damage. So as you can see, his health's going down and there's not much you can do. This is why you stick with the fight. So for example, Kalu's about to run out of health, send him to run away, and he doesn't run away. Okay, we can show it with Joki. So Joki's low on health, send him to run away. So now they're focused on Taco. So now you can send Joki back in, and despite his low health, he can still be useful to the team. And my god, how many of them did I spawn? Okay, I spawned a lot of them. But that's the kind of idea I was wanting to suggest. So if you end up in a situation where like one of your units is being focused down by the enemies, best thing to do is send that unit to run away, not too far away, like maybe like 2 bricks, like 2 voxels away, because that should be enough for the Corruptron to immediately lose interest and focus on a target that's closer to them as opposed to the one that's running away. So that way you can send him away, he can help fight, so you can still help fight whilst also not being directly in the face of the enemy. Curious to see who actually wins this fight, but that's just a general idea of some of the things. So for example, here you have Fave. The problem with Fave is he's currently surrounded on all sides. There's not much chance of him surviving. That's the important thing. You need to recognize when a unit is completely doomed. For example, Fave is completely surrounded. There's nowhere he can run, so don't make him run in an attempt to save him. Just keep him in one place, because the worst he's gonna do is just keep on fighting until he dies. So that's just a few general ideas. If you've got any further questions, comment them down below in the comment section. I'll be sure to get to it as soon as possible. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to become a Trucer and keep up to date with everything that I post. I would like to thank you all as well for 300 subs. Knowing that I've just thanked you all will probably result in it going back down at like 299 or something, as it usually does. But yes, so if you've got any further questions, comment them down below. Good day, and I'll see you next time.